Hi, this is Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about one of my most favorite topics because it's about our mental health. It's about our mental strength during a job search. And what I want to talk to you about today are 3 tactics to improve your mental strength during your job search. This to me is everything because you can have the best credentials, even an incredibly robust network, but if you are not mentally in the right place to do the job search, to sell yourself, to put yourself out there and believe in what you bring into the table, it's never going to come to fruition. So much of a job search, a successful job search, is a mental game that I think it's truly important to have actual tactics that you can do to improve your mental strength, to help you stay consistent and happy and in a good place during the job search. Because let's face it, a job search is not easy. So let's make sure we shore that up. So the first tactic that I want you to do when you're feeling a little bit, mentally unsure of yourself and you need some strength is I want you to focus on what you have. So much effort during a job search can lead us to be focused on what we don't have, everything we're missing. And I'm going to tell you that's a bad place to go. Instead, take a concerted effort, reframe yourself in that. Do a gratitude list. It's really a simple way of doing this, and focus on what you have. Write down a minimum of 10 blessings you currently have. Even if you're in a job that you hate or if you've been recently laid off, you have so much else beyond your job. That's your identity. That brings you happiness, that are blessings. And I want you to focus on those. I want you to write down 10. I want you to every day, or if you have to do it multiple times a day, when you are looking at what you don't have, I really want you to condition yourself to start looking at what you do have. Because when you look at what you do have and you start from there, you can start or continue a job search because there's a lot that you do have. Which leads me to number 2. Focus on what you can control. And stop focusing and obsessing and worrying about the things you have absolutely no control over. And what does that mean? So we can't control the unemployment rate. We cannot control, the layoff headlines. We cannot control someone getting back to us. But I'm going to tell you what you can control. You can control how many people you reach out to in a day. You can control what news headlines you choose to read and choose to show up on a news feed. And if the layoff headlines are bothering you, then turn them off. Turn off the news sources, turn off the people that talk about them on different news channels or social media channels, turn them off. And focus on what you can control. The only thing, in my opinion, that you can truly control is how many times a day you put yourself out there and the different mediums in which you can do that. That includes showing up, in person to network meetings. That means putting yourself out there to ask people for lunch or for dinner or for coffee or for informational virtual chats. There's obviously so many ways we can communicate nowadays. You can control how many of your college or corporate alumni that you reach out to, whether you know them or you don't know them. You can control learning how to do outreach better and then implementing it. So there's so much you can control. And I want you to focus on what you can control. That's number 2. Number 3 is I want you to look at your situation, no matter how challenged or dire you may feel it is. And I want you to come up with 5 positives about your situation. 5. And if you can keep going, great. But I want you to come up with 5 things that are positive about your situation. I'm going to give you an example. When I was laid off, I did this exercise. And one of the positives that I had was, And in addition to being able to spend more time with my family and take better care of my health, one of the positives that I wrote down at the time was I can finally do the things that I always said I would do, but I always said I was too busy to do them. And that was, taking some classes that I wanted to take, or even simply reading more books, or meeting people for lunch, or going back and contacting people from, college or prior jobs that I wanted to always reach out to, but you just never get around to doing it. Nowadays, that is more a thing that people do even during work. But I'm telling you, this was for me in 2008, 9. And, people just sat at their desk and worked through it nowadays, or then. And nowadays, people know enough, at least not to do that all the time. But that's all I did back then, was work at my desk during lunch. And I never went out during lunch unless it was to go get lunch, and then I brought it back and worked through lunch. So for me, it was really reaching out to those people. Now that's all part of what we call networking, and we even advertise that, advocate for that as part of his job search. But people didn't really do that as actively back then. There's going to be positives. As someone who was unemployed, I felt like I can work on my job search full time. I can tell you, people who are working constantly ask me, how do they find time to do a job search? Now, you may think like, oh, you're working, woe is me. But I'm just telling you, problems are relative. Struggles are relative. And if you're working and you really hate your job, it's sometimes hard to find time to do your job search. Of course, the positive there is you're interviewing from a place of having a job, which some say is a lot easier. So, I'm just saying you can turn whatever situation you're in into a negative. And my challenge to you is to turn it into a positive. And I want you to come out with 5 things that are positive about your situation. So, you know what, you want to tell me about it, you can DM me down below. You can DM me, or you can comment it down below and let me know. Let me know how you do. And then, engage in self-care. The key is to engage in self-care is number 4. Engage in self-care. And one way to do that is honestly do so much of this stuff before you need it. If you're in the mix of a job search now, it may be a little too late, but you can always start. But, and you can still go to running a resume session. It's at freeexecresumetraining.com. You can sign up for that. Pretty much any week you see this, there'll always be one. We do it once a month, so make sure that you do sign up for that. And if you're not in a job search but watching this for some reason, then make sure that you do sign up for this and take care of this stuff before you need it. That to me ultimately is the best self-care that you can do. Is just be prepared, planned, assume it can happen to you. Don't think it won't happen to you. It would be lovely for you to have all this stuff ready and never need it. Let's be honest. It'll just give you some peace of mind. So go to freeexecresumetraining.com, sign up for the next free resume training, implement the 4 things that I gave you here today, and make sure you just take care of yourself. Because again, if you have that mental strength, you can do anything. If you like this video, I'm going to ask you to like it. If you know someone who could benefit from this video, then please share it. If you have any comments or questions, you can put them below, or you can send me a DM. I do my best to read and reply to every comment and message. Or feel free to email me at lr@chameleonresumes.com. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel or my LinkedIn profile. This way you will not miss next week's video. Look forward to seeing you. Take good care.